Well, it took a minute, but well, at least I got these copies. All right. I just want to make a record of this. So here we go. I've seen other videos like this. I'm old, so I'm not exactly up with all you young folks about all this stuff. But I've seen they call them unboxing videos or something. So I thought, what the hell, I'm gonna do one. It's been a minute. Oh, it's not what I thought it was. I thought it was copies of my paperback book that I published. The fuck is this? Oh, um, that's the data cable, and this is the lighting. Huh. Okay. Well, I thought it was copies of my book. I was kind of hoping, but let's look in here. I kind of need this, but I'm waiting on some other stuff. Well, let's take this into this is my humble abode. This is my kitchen. When I bought this house, I had to totally gut it. It took 5 years while I was on the road driving truck. I didn't really stop here, but maybe a couple times a year. And generally speaking, I wouldn't say, except for Christmas, I was rarely home more than 50 hours a year. And I just stayed on the road. And this place was always under construction. But this is my humble little kitchen. My humble little kitchen. Yeah. Those were painted by a friend of mine out of Missouri. I just like the way she did her chickens, man, with those little tiny legs. I like that. Her name was Charlene. And this is from a friend of mine. Her girlfriend found that at a thing and bought like a sale, and bought that for me. And a relative of mine owns a little secondhand store up in Lawrence, Kansas. She gave that to me for free. That was really cool. I love that. And then I got my Kansas thing. Boy, the glare and everything. Those are some pictures of Kansas. Yeah, and that's about all that's out here. Not true, but so it's my little. Yeah, I mean, this whole place, you see how thick the walls are here? That's because they had to upgrade all of my electric during the remodel. This is my humble abode living room. All my Trump memorabilia. For any of you people that are triggered by Trump because you got TDS, all I can say is tough titty. Suck it up and get used to it. Yeah. This is a actual real movie poster print from back in the day. I did a mural for this guy, and after I was done painting his place, he asked me what my favorite movie was. And I told him I always remember from my childhood the bridge on the River Kwai. And he gave me this actual poster proof from the printing press. That's my little, check out my bathroom. This is cool. This place, I had to kind of rinse off an area of my jeans. Looked like I shit my pants. I don't know what it was, but I washed them out in the sink last night. I don't know what happened. I must have sat on something rusty or something. But this is my shower. I did all of this, but this was here. The structure was already here. Pretty cool though, huh? of some pretty forward thinking, because this house was built in 1948, but I completely gutted it and remodeled the whole thing. Of course, we got the Kansas City Chiefs over here. Got the Chiefs. We used to do beadwork. That rosette was done by my ex-wife. Every one of them beads, each individual bead is individually circles. These silver things, those are made out of skull can lids. There's a thing of my boys when I was in the hospital. My neighbor had that made for me. It was really nice of her. This is my computer setup. I keep that sheet on there to keep the dust off of it. These hookahs here, this was brought over from Pakistan by a friend of mine who had never been to, didn't even know what Thanksgiving was. And this guy here, this was from a buddy of mine named Abu Bakr. And this, I'd met how I met the guy that gave me this was from the guy I met who gave me that. He went home to Morocco, and he asked me what I wanted him to bring me back. And I told him, I says, I want a hookah, dude. So he went to Marrakesh, and this is what he brought me back. So those are real deals. Now there's my old hair from way back in the day, my ponytail. There's some other cool stuff here. Everything here basically has like some kind of memory thing or something. But anyway, so I got my lighting, because here, this is all coming out, and I got this polycarbonate panels I'm gonna put there, which is like the glass looking stuff on at greenhouses. And then I'm gonna use this lighting to backlight it on, and then I'm gonna put all this back in. So we got a lot of work to do. I've spent so many years now enduring operations, medical procedures, 4 major operations, had a good old colostomy bag for a year. That was a lot of fun. Not. That was pretty crazy. But I haven't been able to use my webcam because I needed an extension cable. Now, I live so far out in the boonies that you got to drive 10 miles just to get to a little Love's truck stop, or 20 miles to get to a Walmart. So that's a 40-mile round trip. And when you get old, oh, that opened actually pretty easy. I was gonna say you gotta damn near have some kind of equipment to get in any bag or jar or box. So when you see that senior citizen packaging, yeah, that's funny until you get old and you realize how hard it is to open anything. All right, so I got my USB extender. I gotta buy another camera for my computer. Webcam, that's it, webcam. There are some cool things about getting real old though. Your memory starts fading out, like I can hide my own Easter eggs at Easter, and that's always a lot of fun. And it's always convenient to forget when you fuck up. I don't know, man, I'm old. Fuck, what do you fucking want from me, man? Shit happens. I can't remember how that happened. I can't remember doing that. All right, so. Yeah, because when I got the message, it said lighting and fan. I don't know what fan means. What? COB light LED strip light. Brighter and more uniform light without dark spots. Lower power consumption for energy saving, higher light efficiency. Well, let's just open this bad boy up and let's just see. I can figure out how to get in here. Ah, there we go. I mean, like this cop stopped me from speeding one day, and I told him, well, I don't, well, he stopped me for speeding, but he was talking about I didn't have a seatbelt on. I said, well, I don't have to wear a seatbelt. He's like, what? I said, well, I was married to the meanest woman you ever met in your life for 30 years. He said, oh, I'm sorry, sir. You can leave. Okay, this looks kind of complicated. It's got a fucking remote control. I hope this isn't some app regulated thing, because those, I don't know about y'all, I'm sure the younger generation, anybody under 30 or something, probably wouldn't have a problem with that. But all right, well, now all we gotta do is get our, all we need now is our polycarbonate panels. And I ordered, just, you wouldn't even believe, I've been away from KDP, which is Kindle Direct Publishing, while I was driving truck, starting I think around 2016. My dad had passed away. I digress. Let me back up a little bit. I left Los Angeles, my home back then. I left my dad's house at 18 years old, just after my birthday, 1976. And basically, maybe 3 or 4 occasions, except for 3 or 4 occasions, I didn't have any contact with anyone in my family for almost 30 years. And eventually, though, I ended up meeting this gal out in Boulder, Colorado. I was living in Boulder at the time. And we ended up, after a couple, 3 years, she got pregnant. Hell, like I was like, well, maybe it wasn't a couple of years, maybe it was just a year or two. I was like 33 or 34, and she was 3 years older than me, and we had a child. And she basically saved my life. She was the brakes. I was always at the gas. Pedal to the metal. And I didn't slow down my entire life. I lived 100 miles an hour. And my son was maybe, well, he was still in diapers. And Deanna and I took off from Colorado, Fort Collins, and we went to Kansas. I was going to find an old friend of mine. Well, it turned out he had moved, so I called up information. Back then. There was no such, we never even heard of cell phones back then. So I looked up my dad. I hadn't seen him in all them years, and lo and behold, see, back then you could call information, and they would give you a phone number, people's address, everything. Kind of scary these days, right? But I finally found my dad, and I reached out to him. It was kind of an emotional reunion, you know, and he got to meet my son. But my dad had still never told me, after all them years, I mean, I just grew up hating my dad. And he never once told me he was proud of me, and including that time too. So after reconnecting with my father, I ended up losing touch with him again for a few years. Like occasionally, once a year, I might call him or something, but that was it. And in 2006, the economy sucked. I was back in Colorado, and I've painted houses off and on all of my life. Like over 30 years, I considered myself a professional journeyman painter. I could paint a raindrop and cut it in before it hits the floor. And the economy got so bad that, I mean, I did that mural for that guy that gave me that poster over there, right? He owned a gas station, and I did a mural on 3 of the interior walls, and I painted the whole exterior of his gas station. And that was it. That was in like December of that year. And January, February, March, I don't know how we were surviving because I was doing so well before that Deanna didn't have to work. But real quick, because I'm a professional hustler, so we survived. We still took care of the kids, right? 2 kids, boy and a girl. And at the end of it, we were going down. So I started looking around, and while we were homeless living in our van, we stayed a lot of truck stops. So I'd had some familiarity with truck drivers. And I decided, well, fuck, I'll go see about driving truck. But I was super fucking smart about it. I was smart enough to know that I did not want that responsibility of accidentally killing somebody in that big fucking truck. I've been in other guys' trucks when they were driving. I just couldn't understand how the fuck do you control that shit, man? You're talking fully loaded, man. You're looking at 40 fucking tons. You could run over a car and it's like crushing a beer can in your car. So I always worried about that. I was super scared of it. Had a lot of respect for the fear of driving that truck, right? But anyway, 2006, I said, fuck it, man. I went and sold a couple of my big spray rigs and some of my other painting equipment. I gave all the money to Deanna, and I left on a gray dog and rolled out of Fort Collins, Colorado in the middle of a snowstorm. And I went to Springfield, Missouri to drive truck for Prime Incorporated. And back then, they had an extensive training program. You had to do 80,000 miles before you got your own truck, right? And so I made it through the program, and it was grueling. Oh man, I had a lot of shit happen to me. But eventually I got through the program and got my own truck. And the day I got my own truck, I'd been in touch with my dad a couple of times while I was going through my training. And he always had a really good response to it. So the day I actually had made the grade, and they gave me my own truck. Well, everybody usually when they get their own truck, they want to go home, show off their truck and everything, right? And I was no different. So I hit my dad up at the old folks' home in Topeka, Kansas, and the first place I went was Topeka, Kansas. And I went there, man, and I pulled up outside that senior citizen little high rise, you know. And everybody there loved my dad. He's always been that way. My dad he owned ice cream trucks in LA. I grew up around ice cream trucks, but my dad was a people person, believe it or not. Just not with me or the other kids, right? But he was other than family, he was a real people person. And so there was all these old folks out at the senior center. So I pull up there at the curb, man, set my brakes. I'm in a great big fucking Peterbilt. The fully loaded trailer. I think I was hauling beef out of Dodge City. So anyway, I'd gotten a load, so I did that, and then I had to hit up north. So I stopped in Topeka to see my dad and actually I had not seen him in person. Probably, I don't know. By then, man, my son was like 14, and the last time he saw me and my son was about 6 months old. So it'd been a minute, right? 10, 12, 13 years, 14 years maybe. So anyway, I pull up to the senior center, set my brakes, man, and I jump out of the truck. And I walk around the front of my semi, and come rolling out of the old folks' home was my dad leading a little small group of other senior citizens. My dad was in a wheelchair, and I'd only heard about it through the grapevine that he had a incident where he had fallen out, and it turned out he had a stroke. And my stepmom, I guess, was brutal to him and kicked him and done a bunch of weird shit to him. So he ended up divorcing her, but he had to go to Kansas City, and it left him paralyzed on his right side. So he had to learn to be left-handed. My dad was a Marine. And you know, growing up, I really never paid much attention to that. But um, this is my dad. I know it's not a very good picture of him, but that was my dad. He was a sergeant in the Marine Corps. That's his watch. That's funny though. That watch right there, I remember he finally took it to a shop because he couldn't figure out why it wasn't running, but it wasn't a battery operated, it was a wind up watch. But yeah, that was my dad. So anyway, he always wore a Marine Corps dungaree hat, you know, old school. And so he come rolling out from the old folks home in his wheelchair, and he rolled right up to me, and he kind of lowered his glasses a little bit, and he said, he had little tears coming out of his eyes, and he said, "Son, I sure am proud of you." And that was it for us. We bonded, and I spent the next few years heavily involved in his life and giving him money, and because I ended up making a lot of money, I became a trainer and driver instructor. I was pulling down like 3 to 5 grand a week. Just made some big fucking money back then. Now I'm broke dick, getting $1,300 a month. So, anyway, um, I spent 13 years driving for Prime Inc. And in 2000, late 2020, early 2021, I came home on a break. I had retired from Prime after 13 years, and I took a local job because I thought it was going to be really cool to be home once a week for 34 hours. It turned out to be not so cool, and I hated the fucking job. It was hauling hazmat, and by the time I would get home and do all the chores, because now I live alone, trucking and relationships is like oil and water. So I get home and I started getting really sick, and I've been with that guy almost a year. Hated every minute of it. Hated hauling hazmat. Really, if you think hauling produce puts you in out of the way places, oh shit. You try hauling that hazmat to them oil filled places, man. Like fucking, we're talking dances with wolves shit, right? So, after about a year of that, I got real sick and I had to go I came back from South Dakota with a load of honey. And my boss is like, "Hey, could you take this load down to Amarillo?" I said, "Motherfucker," I said, "I don't feel good." He goes, "Well, go ahead and go home." And I'm like, "Yeah, fuck you, you know? Motherfuckers want to guilt trip you. They don't want you to fucking fuck that shit. I've never played that game. If I need to go, I gotta go." And I've always told them prior to hiring, if I tell you I need time off, I need time off. No bullshit, no haggling, no guilt trip. I ain't doing it, man. So anyway, he goes, "All right, well, go ahead and go home." I said, "No, I'm not going home. I'm going to the fucking hospital." It turned out my fucking gallbladder was about ready to blow up. So, like, next day after that, man, I was in surgery and had my gallbladder removed. Not a huge thing. Well, I got healed up. I went back to work there, and I was there a year, almost to the day, and I got real sick one day, way worse than the gallbladder stuff. Well, I still drove for a couple months, or at least a month, and I got really sicker and sicker, and finally, a buddy of mine here in this little town I live in, his wife said, "Dude, you got to go to the hospital." So she called me and said, "I'm sending Aaron over there. You're going whether you like it or not." Aaron's not one of the kind of guys you could argue with about that shit, and I wasn't going to argue. I was so sick. I thought I was going to fucking die. So he took me to the hospital. They told me after a bunch of tests that I had a perforated bowel. So, little podunk fucking shit hospital that the only reason there's doctors there because they must be done something to be punished, and they sent them to Pratt, Kansas to work in their hospital. That's the only thing I can think of. So anyway, for 6 weeks, they would do this little routine with me. They told me I had a hole in my bowel, so I'm leaking stuff inside me. And so they would give me antibiotics through an IV. And then after a couple of days in the hospital doing that, then they would give me oral antibiotics and send me home for almost 2 weeks. And after the second time, at the end of the second cycle, I asked that surgeon who came in to visit me, I said, so what about this hole in my bowel? And he's like, it's a real arrogant motherfucker. I didn't like him at all. Kind of remind you of Basil Rathbone that used to play Sherlock Holmes. And he said, oh, it'll heal. And I thought, hell it will. I'm not a doctor, but fuck, I ain't stupid either. There's a hole in there. How's it going to heal? So on the third time I went in, they did the IV thing, then they sent me home. And when I got home, within a couple of weeks after being home, I was outside like in the wee hours of the morning talking to God. I was in so much pain, I thought I was going to fucking die. And as soon as that sun came up, I literally had to get down on my knees and hands and crawl next door to my neighbor's house because I knew she was I never had a lot of interaction with her, but I knew she was a nurse at a nursing home, been there forever. So I banged on her door, laying on her front porch almost on my side, just curled up in pain, man, like a dying dog. And she came to the door and she took one look at me, ran and grabbed her keys and hustled me to the hospital up in Hutchinson. Bigger little town, but still not huge. But anyway, she took me up there. They admitted me right there and then. I didn't have any insurance. I had no money, nothing. And so they admitted me, and the next day I was on the table, man. They cut me open, man, and I had my first real colostomy bag. Man, that was a fucking trip. So Brother Dixon loves my lives. Huh? In videos? Really? Yeah, well, happy birthday, man. And to go along with the happy birthday, it kind of coincides with my video here, talking about reconnecting with my father. Because I left home in 1976 at 18 years old. And I didn't really talk to my dad more than a handful of times in 30 years. Matter of fact, when he started dying, when I knew he was going to die, I finally found my brother and sister. And when I found my sister, she admitted to me that she had thought her and my brother and my dad, they all figured I had died. But I'd just been in a bunch of prisons and jails and rocking and rolling and doing all that stuff and was just real busy. But I found my brother and sister. One thing I can tell you about birthdays is, for me personally, I spend my birthdays in dedication to my mother. I really, I've never been a real big proponent of just celebrating just because she had me. I didn't do anything. My mom did all the work, but she ended up, I love my air quotes, committing suicide when I was 7 years old. So I grew up with a stepmom. But anyway, birthdays are important. They're milestones. They're markers. And remember this, Dixon, remember this. Make every day count. Live every day like it's your last day. Because last days can come in the snap, bud. So make sure you live your life right. I don't know how old you are, but blessings to you and whoever it is that's sending this message. I don't have my glasses on. Icy Rat. That's pretty funny. And Kyle Davis. Hey man, I'm saying hi to you too. So anyway, after all of this thing, happy birthday to Dixon. Absolutely, man. Prayers for you, whoever you are, and may you be blessed with the intelligence to live your life in a way that you don't have any regrets. That's the biggest takeaway that I can give you about enjoying your birthday. So, anyway, after I got my big, beautiful colostomy bag, I went through. I went through all that, but that started my medical journey. I had to retire from trucking, and I was just about to turn 62 when that all that happened. So I had to quit driving truck. Eventually, a cousin of mine came down and spent a week with me, and she had been a surgical nurse. And actually, there's a funny story behind that. I was out in Maryland, and there was a truck stop there in Baltimore, and a TA truck stop, and I happened to be out there, and I knew she was in Fredericksburg, um, uh, Maryland. So I called up my cousin Leanne, and I hollered at her, and her boyfriend came over, and right next door to the TA truck stop in Baltimore, Maryland, was an IHOP. So we met there and we ate. Didn't like her boyfriend at all. I made sure he knew, and then later I told her that I really didn't like this cat. I'm a pretty good judge of character, kind of like a dog, you know. I can sniff out good or bad people. So we ate there at the IHOP, all three of us, and the next day, of course, I mean that next morning I had to leave. I'd got my load and I had to go, and so I'm heading down the highway with my load, and Leanne calls me, and I go, "Hey, what's up, girl?" She says, "Well, I'm in the hospital." I go, "What the fuck you mean you're in the hospital? I just saw you last night." She said, I know. She goes, "I know, but kind of like me, stuff like that. When I tell you about your birthday, make every day count. That's what I'm fucking talking about. Out of nowhere, it will come, and you better be ready. No regrets, Dixon. No regrets." So I asked her, "Well, what the fuck happened?" And she said, "Well, she got real sick that night, and the next day she had to go into the hospital where she worked." I mean, this girl used to make like $60 an hour back in the day as a surgical nurse. So she goes into her own hospital, and guess what? She had a perforated bowel. So she had to get a colostomy bag. So I didn't see her again in my travels. I think I went back through there at one time after like a couple 3 years later, and she didn't have a colostomy bag when I saw her. But one of my students, since I was a CDL instructor and driver trainer, we stopped there and went to. I think we actually went to her house, or she took us out to eat. But anyway, so I saw Leanne and everything, and the same thing happened where she had a colostomy bag. So from the time that I saw her and knew she had a colostomy bag, several years had went by, and over them years we were in pretty steady contact, and she had so many complications. Man, I mean, you know, she had like 3 or 4 operations. And so when I got my issue, she knew exactly how to help me. So she came down, spent a week with me, and showed me how to do all the colostomy bag stuff. It's a messy, horrible experience, believe me. There's some people that, and you know, when I started watching videos about colostomy bags and how to do it and all that stuff, even though Leanne showed me all that, I didn't realize how many young people were having those. I was really quite surprised, especially the girls. I'm like, what did y'all do, man, to get that damn colostomy bag? Well, it starts with something called, I don't really know the correct, diverticulitis, something like that. It's where over years, which I can't, that's what I was saying to these young people, if you eat enough stuff and you don't ever fast, you don't cleanse your system, little things like seeds and small impurities can collect in your colon, in your intestine. And eventually, like me, I can't believe I made it all them years. Now, I found out I had the diverticulitis years earlier, but no one said, "Hey, dude, you need to start taking better care of yourself. You need to clean your system out, blah, blah, blah. No one said shit to me. Well, eventually that came to happen. So when I got my stuff, my cousin came down, she got me squared away. And so that started my medical journey. But now my father did pass away in 2009. My dad died. But I'd spent a month with him, me and one of my students. I had motel rooms in Springfield, Missouri. I had them in Lawrence, Kansas. I spent a lot of money, but I had a lot of money back then. And we took care of my dad for a month. And at the end, I had ordered a brand new Peterbilt. Of course, my company wanted me to go back to work, make them payments, right? Because my truck payment a week, not a month, a week was $1,100, $1,100 every week. Every week. That's more than $4,000 a month just for my truck payment. So that tells you how much fucking money I was making. And I told my dad, I go, hey, I got to run out to North Carolina real quick, and I'll be right back. Don't go nowhere. Wink, wink, right? My dad had a good laugh about it and everything. He always had a good sense of humor about his own mortality. He didn't really believe it. He says, he used to say, I don't believe in God, but I hope there is one, and shit like that. He was kind of agnostic, but he had a pretty good sense about his impending death. So anyway, I talked to the doctor, and I asked him, well, how much time do you think he's got? He says, it's hard to tell. He could have a week. He could have 3 months. Who knows? But he's going to go pretty quick. So I told my dad, I said, don't go nowhere. And I ran out to North Carolina, and on my way back, and I was hustling, man. My fleet manager, I was telling Raleigh, my dad's dying. You got to get me back to Topeka, Kansas. But he didn't make it. I was about halfway back, man, and I found my sister and brother. And see, when I found my dad, I didn't even know I had a daughter. I kind of knew a little bit of suspicion that I may have a daughter, but I always thought that the girl my ex-wife had was the result because I caught her cheating on me, and shortly after that, she got pregnant. And, you know, we met when I was 18 years old. We fucked like rabbits, right? And she never got pregnant. And then I caught her with this guy. She got pregnant. So I didn't believe it was my kid. But after reconnecting with my father after all them years, for one of the first things he did was showed me a picture. He said, this is your daughter. I didn't even know I had one. So by that time, she was in her early 30s, right? So that's when it started my medical journey. And Leanne came down, helped me with my colostomy bag, my medical stuff, and then she helped me file for Social Security and all that stuff. So I went from making like $3,000 to $5,000 a week to $1,300 a month, and that's basically where I've leveled out now. I endured some. I ended up with having 4 major operations. I had the reversal on the colostomy bag. That was the worst of them all, man. I ain't kidding. At one point, I laid here on the floor for 17 days like a prisoner of war, man. Just the most intense level, trauma level, prisoner of war level type pain being inflicted upon my own body. I had this, and I ended up with a condition called drop foot out of that because it burned out that whole nerve, that sciatic nerve on my left side that runs down through your back side of your butt, goes down the outside of my left leg, and all the way down on the left side of my leg, and crosses over the top of my foot into my big toe. And the pain was so intense during that more than 2 weeks that I laid here on the floor. I thought I was gonna fucking die, and there was no one here to help me. I had to crawl around the house just to open the fucking doors, let my dogs out, and I still had to take care of my house. And I had a fucking colostomy bag at the same time. So I was in the bathroom, like, trying to do yoga poses, trying to fucking empty out my colostomy bag. It was a fucking nightmare. So anyway, got through all of that. And before my dad died, I guess this was point of the whole story. It's easy for me to lose my place. My memory's not what it used to be. Like I said, I eat my own Easter eggs now. But after all of that, before he passed away in 2009, I will give credit to my sister mainly. She had lobbied my father to buy me a laptop, and he said, "Why not?" She goes, "You're gonna die here pretty soon anyway. Use your credit card." So he allowed her and her son Shelby to. Shelby is a young guy, and so he knew a lot about computers. So anyway, they ordered me a laptop with all the bells and whistles. That son of a bitch cost like $3,000 at that time. It was a very expensive laptop, had everything but the kitchen sink. So my dad told me that he made me promise that I would tell our story. And I agreed, and I told him I would. But I'd never written anything in my life, you know. I'm not a writer. And so with the laptop, I started to learn to write on my own. I didn't know about YouTube or anything. I think YouTube is around. I just didn't have any exposure to it. And so I started writing, and I had several people, including my daughter, she would tell me, "Well, you ever hear of a guy named Anthony Bourdain?" And I knew him from the Food Channel because I'm a food guy, you know. And one of my kicks, my jam, while I was out on the road, I love finding little gems, little out of the way places that had amazing food. That was my quest all the time. So yeah, I know who Anthony Bourdain is. Well, you should read some of his stuff because he writes just like he talks. And, you know, I mean, basically saying you ain't no writer. And then at a Thanksgiving gathering once, she had a girlfriend of hers with her who was just graduated Kansas University with a degree in literature or some shit. She wanted to be a editor, publisher in the publishing business, right? Well, of course, I put one of my little early samples of writing in front of her. Oh, fuck, she ripped me a new fucking ass, man. She said, "You suck, man." Basically, just tore me a new ass. "You don't know about sentence structure and prepositions and all that shit." And I said, "No, fuck no, I didn't," because I was a terrible student. I hated fucking school. And basically, in 11th grade, I was told my education had been discontinued at West Covina High School in West Covina, California. So I dropped out of school, and it was balls to the wall, drugs, LSD, partying, and doing all kinds of crime, baby. I was 18, I went to the LA County Jail for the first time, man. That's where I started my real career in crime. So, in crime and punishment. So anyway, I made it through all that, but I never stopped. It almost crushed me, the response I got about my early writing, my stories, and I almost didn't stay at it, but something kept me going. And I kept writing, and I wrote, and I rewrote, and I wrote, and I rewrote. And eventually, I kind of got to the point where I took that advice, you write like you talk. And then that's how it started working for me. So eventually, I'm training drivers at this time, and when you're running team in a semi, let me give you an example of how busy you are. So you're on for like 10 hours a day, 10, 11 hours a day on duty driving. You got to pump out between 400 and 600 miles every day to make any money. But when you're running team, like me as a trainer, I would have a student on my truck that never drove a semi in their life. They get their CDL, and you take them out and you show them how it's really done in real world conditions. Real tight deadlines, appointments. Like, for instance, if you got a load going to Walmart, you're 15 minutes late to that window, you're fucked. They make you sit out and they reschedule you. It's very tight the way everything moves from farm to table. It's highly regimented, and orchestrated, and organized. So anyway, we would pick up, for instance, I had a student on truck, and at this particular couple of weeks, there was a lot of heavy running. We would pick up produce in Los Angeles, and we would take it up into the southern Vermont. We'd drop that off. Then we'd go up to northern Vermont and pick up communist Ben and Jerry's ice cream, and then take that back to LA. And we could do that twice per week. Los Angeles to northern Vermont, back to LA, and back to Vermont in 1 week. So even all of that driving, I still wrote 2 books over them years. I think I started really getting them in about 2008, something like that. And it took me several years to get both of them written. I had one book completely finished, or what I thought was a pretty good product. And I happened to be out in Fort Collins, Colorado, seeing, even though Deanna and I had parted ways basically. I mean, I was gone all the time, so what the fuck do you expect, right? But I would still stop in Fort Collins. She'd bring me some of her biscuits and gravy, or she'd come see me, stuff like that, for a few minutes or whatever. And so I was still in touch with my son's mother. And one day I showed up there, and I was at the Walmart parking lot where she would come and meet me, and I seen another prime driver there, and he was looking for something, and I hollered at him, and he told me he had had a pit bull that he just got, and had left him tied up in front of his truck while he ran in the store to get it he had just got it, so he had to go buy a collar and all of the paraphernalia to have a dog. And when he came out, the dog was gone, and he was frantic, black dude. So I helped him look for the dog. We couldn't find him, and maybe an hour later, he went back in the store, and eventually this lady showed up in the parking lot with another lady, and they had the dog. They had left him. He had went back in and found out that the manager had a note saying, "Hey, we found this pit bull in the parking lot," right? And if you go to my YouTube channel, the Chain Gang Network, I made like a little video, 2 of them, which encompasses the first 40 minutes of the book. And I made little Ken Burns style videos, very tedious work. But anyway, so these gals showed up, and I got out with I had a big ass camera, thought I was a photographer. I got out and started taking pictures of the reunion when the guy got his dog back. And he was really upset, because he said, "My girlfriend's gonna kill me, man." He said, "I just spent like $600 on that dog and hadn't even got it home and already lost it." So she was pretty pissed off. Anyway, so during the reunion thing, the lady said, "Oh, so are you a photographer?" And I said, "Yeah, and I'm a writer too." So I brought her over to my truck, and I actually had my laptop propped up, the one my dad had allowed my sister to buy for me. I had it propped up on my steering wheel, and she came up, and I said, "Check out this story I'm working on." And so I read it aloud to her. It was still in the progress of being written, but she was like, "Wow, that's really good, man." Later, she admitted that she thought I had plagiarized it. And I was kind of not really offended, because I'm a criminal. So anyway, she turns out she was an editor, and had been a editor for years, and taught creative writing and all this shit. So it was meant to be. So anyway, we had a relationship over the next few years, and I wrote the set. She helped me finish the first book. She had a lot of good guidance, but the main person that helped me was my buddy John, that I met when I first went to trucking school. I met a guy there, and he was real intelligent and everything. And with his uh, endurance of my learning to write, he stuck with me, and I read and reread, and and he would say, "Well, that's good or that ain't." And eventually, got the first book done, and Joe, became my editor, she she had a friend who was an actual publisher from Pronghorn Press. So eventually, she helped me get my first book produced and self-published onto Amazon. Well, then I started writing stories for my company, Prime Incorporated, and I was the very first driver to have his own author's archives. And so that's kind of started my thing. And I was doing a lot of photography, and I was I knew everybody there at Prime knew who I was, and I kind of enjoyed a little bit of being a little bit of a superstar at my trucking company. And over the years, I finished both books, got them both published, and after what's it been, like 4 or 5 years with all the medical stuff, I didn't visit Amazon at all. I wasn't writing anything, wasn't creating no content. I had messed around with live streaming back then, but I wasn't home often enough until I got retired to do it. And even through the operations, there was sometimes I was in my colostomy bag, and I was still live streaming from 6 to 8 every day. But after my very last operation, it took me out. I couldn't. I had no desire to create content or anything. And I've just been doing nothing for the last year. My last operation was February of last year. So February, March, April, May, June, July. So it's been like 17 months. I haven't done anything except scroll YouTube, watch TV, and take care of my dogs in my house, right? My dogs. Can I pet that dog? Love that video. Anyway, so eventually I had both books published, and now that I'm more than a year out from my last operation, I'm in pretty good health considering. I got a drop foot now, like I can't lift my left foot up at all. And if you're not thinking every time you take a step, if you forget to lift your leg up high enough, you'll catch your toe and fall down. So I'm on a lot of medications now. I'm doing that, and I've just now started kind of getting back in and setting up everything so that I can go live. I had an IRS issue, and I paid cash for this house, and I spent 5 years cash having it remodeled, and like I said, I had that IRS issue, and they put me in a chokehold, and I had to take a mortgage on my house, which cost me now, out of my $1,300 a month I live off of, they get $400, but that gives me homeowners insurance and property taxes all come out of that $400. So it's been kind of a blessing, kind of not. But I've had to tighten my budget to the point where I really literally can only eat once a day. I have one main meal a day, that's it. And so I'm starting all over. And this lighting I got today, this is to help me get my little studio here squared away so that I can start live streaming. I do have like almost 1,200 subscribers now, and I'm trying to become monetized. My dream and my goal is to become monetized and pay off my mortgage as early as possible. There ain't no fucking way I'm gonna make a 30-year mortgage. I'm 68 years old right now, and by the time I pay it off, I'll be 98. So probably not gonna make it. You know what I mean? So that's the dream. That's the reason. That's the season. That's why I'm here, and to share all of my hard-earned knowledge of what I can't tell you what to do. I can tell you what not to do. If you're smart, you'll take my advice. So I don't know if anyone, I don't know how to tell whether anyone's even listening. Up there's a little person icon and it says 0. And on the thumbs up is a 1. So there's probably nobody even listening at this point. But again, before I sign off here, I just want to say happy birthday, Dixon. Dixon. Oh, you motherfucker. Dixon my ass. Uh-huh. Yeah, fuck you. Icy rat. You can suck it, boy. You know that? I didn't catch that. I didn't see the my ass part. Mm-hmm. Well, you think you're fucking Bart Simpson or something, you little fuck? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You fuck with the bull, you get the horn. You can't stand up to me. I'll make you hurt so fucking bad verbally. I'll make you fucking cry, you little bitch. That was fucking uncool, man, because I sat here and poured my heart out and told you a little personal story, and you want to come on here and put some fucking pussy ass shit like that on here? Fuck you. Maybe have to bend you over and introduce myself, motherfucker. Because if I did that, then I could show you my great big cock. There you go. There's my big cock, boy. You shouldn't have fucked with me. I can't believe you did that. That's a low-level fucking thing to do. Boy, I'll tell you what. Little punk-ass bitches like you know what I'd like to do? I'd like all of you are keyboard warriors, but I'm from the real world. I'm really a bad guy, not one of your little YouTube video badasses. Fucking asshole. He got me good though, I ain't gonna lie. That's pretty funny. Funny on one hand, funny not. This is my badass little house that I bought, paid cash for. Look at this guy right here. Ratzliff. Ratzliff. R-A-T, Ratzliff. Trucking, coming in here about 45 miles an hour in a semi. I was always, as a super trainer driver, always taught my guys, and Prime would tell you, speeding is tantamount to reckless driving. Because that's one thing you can control is your speed. To get a speeding ticket at Prime, you got called on the carpet. That's a bullshit thing. You should never. In all my years of driving, I had one speeding ticket in Kentucky, but they got rid of it. It cost me $500, but they made it go away. They just wanted the money. But this is my little kingdom here. Middle of fucking nowhere, man. Creepy little town, to be honest. Creepy little town. Yeah, I bet that motherfucker, if he was listening for any amount of time, listening to me go, happy birthday, Dixon. Oh, man, I bet that motherfucker was rolling on the floor laughing. He got me good, I admit it. But I'm also going to call him out and tell him he's a little punk-ass bitch. That's what I'm going to say. That's me. That's what I said. I said it. I said it. Fucking asshole. What a fucking dick. See, I'm an older cat. I believe in goodness and honesty. I don't believe in all this low-level, low IQ bullshit of fucking with people, ripping people off and all that shit. Like, you know, I just got ripped off here recently. I ordered some t-shirts off of YouTube. I never got shit. Hey, get him. Get him. He'll outrun you. Watch out, Dexter. She's going to outrun you. He likes to race cars.
Who you gambling with?
Huh?
Who you gambling with? 'Cause I got a 10 ticket. 10 tickets. 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 10
I'm live. I'm streaming live. That's Rose. Hey, that's a watermelon. It didn't look like it at first. It looked like a giant cucumber. But now it looks like a watermelon. It's just odd kind of shape, but it's a watermelon. Huh? Okay. This is my second year of growing. For any of the good people who are still here listening to my cool story, this is my second year of growing stuff. These are my tomatoes. That one over there's actually got tomatoes on it. This one has tomatoes. But these two here, they're just big old fucking looking weeds now. But she says that they'll still, she's the lady that helps me with my gardening. And then this, since it's my second season, now I'm growing, I don't know what these are. They should be cantaloupes. I got peppers. Here, get back, goddamn, get back. Dexter, get back. Get back.
Just say I want to see her. Yeah, but I can't get you.
There you go.
Hi there, baby.
Watch your head when you come through here.
Oh, I'm short, remember?
So this, when it first started coming out, we thought that
That's a cucumber, baby.
are you sure?
Positively.
Looks like a watermelon to me.
Look. Feel that. See the bumps?
Yeah, I know.
That's ready to be picked.
All right, well, maybe it is a cucumber. We'll find out. If it is, I'll only need one of them to make it through the year, right?
This one's ready to go.
Oh, no, no, no. Don't, just leave it. Just let it grow.
It'll turn orange, honey.
Just let it grow. I don't care. Just leave it alone. Just let her grow. But that's weird. Where's my watermelons?
Right there.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's probably cucumber down there too.
Where? Oh, these? Yeah, I didn't know you gave me cucumber seeds.
I gave you so much I don't remember.
Okay. All right, well, that's today's story.
Bye, guys.
Listen, there was some, I got a delivery. I got a bunch of stuff I ordered to help me get my studio finished. So I got my LED lighting, all that stuff today. So I thought I'd go live and do the unboxing because I thought it was copies of my book. And it turned out it was the lighting and stuff. So I started doing this. And while I was telling my little story, someone sent me a message that says, can you say happy birthday to my brother Dixon? And I just kind of, and I go, hey, happy birthday, Dixon. And then it just, no, listen, a second ago, look, come here where you can read this. So I come over, so I'm out here and I've been talking now for about 30 minutes, telling my story about my dad dying and everything. And telling him about how important about birthdays and stuff. And then I reread it and it says, can you say happy birthday to my brother Dixon? And then M-A-Y-A-Z, my ass, Dixon, my ass. You fucking asshole motherfucker. I was like, oh, I'd reach through there, I'd pull your little punk ass out there and beat your ass, boy. Even though I'm old and crippled. And pretty funny, right? Funny motherfucker. He thinks he's fucking funny. Yeah. Pretty funny motherfucker, man. He got me good, but I'll tell you what, you don't want me to find out who you are. I'll make your fucking life miserable. I'll make motherfuckers start crying and shit. Go home to his mama.
Cucumber, baby.
Yeah, oh, fuck, that's kind of sad. I'm kind of sad.
You got plenty of watermelon out there. They just need to take their time.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens.
I'm gonna mow my garden down.
Huh?
I'm mowing my garden down.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to. I have to go to town. I don't know when. Maybe today. Maybe tomorrow. But I want to buy 3 more tomato plants. These two motherfuckers here ain't doing shit, and I want tomatoes.
Let's go. I'm headed to town anyway.
When? I can't do it right this second. I got stuff I gotta get. I just woke up a minute ago. I was up till 5 in the morning the day before yesterday.
Well, we could have had phone
And
sex.
yeah, that ain't gonna happen. All right, so I'm out of here. And Dixon Myaz, you can go fuck yourself. Fuck off. Fuck off. Later, y'all.
Oh shit, I didn't even know we were on this thing yet.